contents of the textbook. So at first, we do a brief review of R. And after that, chapter 1, this is still the review of linear models. And chapter 2 to 11, we include the generalized linear models and the mixed effects models. So these are main contents. And chapter 12, probably we skip it. This is some extension of earlier chapters. And chapters 13 and 14 are actually also extensions of chapter 2 to 11, but if time permits, we cover. Chapter 14 is non-parametric models, so if the time permits, that we cover. Chapter 15 to 16, these are the tree and additive models. So these are covered in STAT 5820, or formerly the 5890, Introduction to Data Science. So we don't cover these chapters. The last chapter is neural network. This is covered by STAT 7810. So we will not cover these chapters. So basically, except for reviews, we don't have much duplication with other course materials. Of course, these models in chapter 2 to 11 are based on more basic statistical models. So there's some repeats, but not much overlap. Okay, so next, the computer requirements. So I understand that the Wayne State University students, some students don't have computers and they have to rely on smartphone. But for statistics courses at this level, that I require a computer. So computer is really essential item. And we have to use R and R Studio daily. So we certainly need computer. So this is, Maslow's the hierarchy of needs. So the most basic needs is the physiological, but we need the R and R Studio before that. And to use R and R Studio, you need computer and Wi-Fi. Okay, so computer requirements. So we use R and R Studio. So install this software as early as possible. So at first, install R from this website, and then R Studio. So both software are free and available for Windows and Mac OS X and Linux. So unfortunately, these are not available for iOS, iPad OS, nor Android. So you need a computer. And after installing this, you can try the R language. You can try to use R language to do some simple calculation as 1 + 1. And do the same thing in R Studio. So R Studio is a kind of editor. So so R is incorporated in R Studio. So R Studio access to R language in your computer to implement some code. Yeah, and the sample file, the sample R Studio code is available in Canvas. So after you install the both software, then you can try to compile. You can try to compile this file. If you cannot, then probably the installation of R Studio has not been done correctly. Yeah, so R and R Studio are necessary to do quizzes, homework, exams, and projects. Okay, so next, prerequisites in statistics. So basically, you need linear algebra. So this is the course based on linear model. So linear algebra is very important part. So you can imagine that in statistics, you use the spreadsheet of data, and the spreadsheet is a kind of matrix, and the statistics needs ways to handle data at once. So that means we need linear algebra. And random variables. So we have normal random variables, chi-square, TF, binomial, Poisson. So linear model usually assume normal distribution, or at least the even errors are not normal, that we do something with normal distribution. But in and chi-square ft. So these are the distribution based on normal distributions. But this course teach other models, such as the model for binary data, multinomial data, count data. So we need some more distributions. We will discuss the briefly when we see some relatively minor distributions. And estimation. So basically, the most important thing is to understand the basic ideas of estimation and testing and linear models. So in statistics, some numbers are regarded as realization of random variables, and some numbers are calculated, but that is an estimate of some true quantity or something like that. So I would like you to completely understand those concepts. So to be exact, we use the least square or maximum likelihood method and confidence interval and so on. So if you forgot this, then you can review in some textbooks. And the testing, so I would expect you are familiar with some basic tests such as t-test, f-test, and the chi-square test. And some concepts related to tests such as p-values, rejection region, and so on. And linear models, we use the matrix representation of linear models. So I would briefly discuss this, but I expect you understand linear models with matrix form. And also in linear model, we have to estimate coefficients, and we do diagnosis, such as how good the model fits to the data. So these are the basic, so these are basically prerequisites of this course in terms of statistical materials. So I will briefly review those materials when necessary. But if you are not clear, then you can defer some textbooks.